Let us face this plainly, quietly, with honesty that frees. The moment you pursue supply as a thing, you have confessed lack and endowed lack with reality. You have taken an effect and enthroned it as cause. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. When supply becomes your God, your first thought in the morning, your hidden dread at night, you bind yourself to its shadow. You say by your very search, I do not have, and so you worship the absence you fear. As long as you reach for the fruit and forget the root, you will know the taste of dust. If God is the source, why are you chasing effects? If the fountain is one, why busy yourself with stolen buckets? Why money? Why contacts? Why outcomes, as if these were powers? Who by taking thought can add a cubit to his stature, make one hair white or black, or push providence 1 inch nearer? God is one. God is one. As long as you believe there is power in a favorable condition, or in a favorable thought about a condition, you are far from the kingdom. You have made a graven image in consciousness, not of wood or stone, but of numbers and projections and praise. And then you pray to it with anxious calculations. Listen to the shepherd voice. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Not the bank is my shepherd. Not my plans are my shepherd. One cause, one life, one infinite outpouring that neither withholds nor measures. Do not insult the infinite with the fear that it might forget to be itself. The sea does not ration its wetness. The sun does not sign a contract before it shines. God is. That's all. Now hear a sentence that is not a technique, not a talisman, not a lever to move God, but a doorway that opens onto stillness. Acquaint now thyself with him, and be at peace. Acquaint, know, not argue. Acquaint, behold, not bargain. Be at peace. Do not hammer at the gates of heaven as if they were locked from the inside. Be still and know that I am God. Let your tongue fall out before you tell God what to do. Hold those teeth together and listen. True acquaintance is not a flurry of words. It is the gentle, yielded recognition that God is the only cause and therefore the only law of your being. Let me be pastorally firm here. We do not demonstrate dollars. We demonstrate God. We do not set our affection on the shape of the loaf. We rest in the presence that multiplies without arithmetic. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Added, do you hear? Not forced, not managed, not willed, but added. It is the nature of light to reveal. It is the nature of life to express. When the cause is consciously realized, the effects appear as byproduct, not as prize. Stop making effects your masters. Stop. Stop. Withdraw your faith from forms, from the praise of men, from the tremble of tomorrow. Bring your faith home to its rightful object, one. Say within yourself, not vainly, but reverently, God is one. Not two powers, not spirit and matter wrestling in the night, one. And as you acquaint yourself with him and are at peace, you will witness what effort has never purchased. Supply following his grace, harmony unfolding without strain, the quiet sufficiency that comes when the branch abides in the vine. I am the vine, ye are the branches. Not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Let us lay the axe again to the root, not the branches. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. God is power. Therefore, there is only one power, not two. Not God and economy, not God and employer, not God and market, not God and luck. I am the Lord, and there is none else. Beside me there is no God. When you admit a second power, even a whisper of it, you sign a truce with fear. You stand before a golden calf in modern clothes and call it practical wisdom. No, be very firm. God is one. As long as you hold secretly to God plus good conditions, God plus your planning, God plus your affirmations, you perpetuate a civil war in consciousness. No man can serve two masters. If God needs an ally, he is not God. If spirit requires your anxious scaffolding to hold up the universe is already fallen. The Lord is my shepherd. Shall I then recruit a consultant? Do you see what we have done? We have turned what is whole into a partnership with our fears and then blamed the sky for the storm. Stop. Stop. Withdraw the plus signs that you have nailed onto God. In the kingdom, there are not two streams, one called grace and one called grind. There is one. In him we live and move and have our being. When you accept that, not as a phrase, but as the fact of being, the struggle with conditions begins to dissolve, not because conditions bend to your will, but because you are no longer bowing to them as powers. The winds rage, the master sleeps. Why? Because there is only one cause, and the wind has no law of its own. What manner of man is this, that even the winds and the sea obey him? He did not quarrel with waves or bargain with weather. He rested in oneness and said, "Peace, be still." The sea recognized its cause. Carry this axiom as two words, not as magic, but as stance. God is, not God will be if the contract comes, not God might be if the numbers line up. God is. Let those two words go before you, like the pillar of cloud by day and the fire by night. God is in the boardroom. God is in the bill. God is in the breath. And as you repose there, you will notice something practical. Compulsion loosens. The mind that plotted 10 schemes grows quiet. The heart that clenched around outcomes begins to soften. Perfect love casteth out fear. Why? Because there is no rival to perfect love. One cause, one life, one infinite self-expression. Now, I say this gently, but with the steel of truth. Every time you look at a paycheck, a client list, an economic forecast, and say, "These are powers," you have stepped outside your own house and stood in the rain, and then you complain that you are wet. Come back inside. Return to your own center where the kingdom of God is within you. From that center, look out and see that everything named condition is only an effect without self-causation. Effects do not provide themselves, manage themselves, or withhold themselves. Every good and perfect gift is from above, and above is not a place. It is the recognition of one. You ask, "But what am I to do tomorrow?" Listen, the question is not what you will do with conditions. The question is what you will do with cause. Will you spend the day demonstrating effects, tugging at fruit, polishing leaves, arguing with weather, or will you abide in the root? Will you rehearse your plans like incantations, or will you sit in the quiet and acknowledge God is until the need to control subsides and right activity presents itself without strain? This is not passivity. It is fidelity. It is refusing to teach your heart a lie about two powers. If you will bring to conscious remembrance every hour God is one, you will notice the battle flags come down, the inner courtroom adjourns, debates about how and when grow faint. You find yourself meeting the day without bargaining chips, without the fever of getting, and in that unburdened atmosphere of one, provision begins to appear, where argument used to be, guidance where guessing stood, sufficiency where strategy strained. Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. So let us decide now, before the sun sets, no more God plus, no more two masters. Let the mind return to its singular confession, God is, and let the life that flows from that confession write the agenda. Let us now address a very modern idol with ancient roots, the belief that thought is power. It wears pious clothes. It speaks scripture in slogans. It pastes the name of God onto its vision boards and calls it faith. But listen carefully, this is the same old serpent whispering, "You shall be as gods," meaning you shall cause your own good by managing mental pictures. As long as you believe there is power in a thought, good thought, holy thought, positive thought, you are far from the kingdom of heaven. Why? Because you have set up a second cause, thought beside God. The master asked, who by taking thought can add 1 cubit to his stature? Let me extend that knife edge to our modern shrine. Who by taking thought can add peace to a troubled heart? Who by taking thought can add assurance to a shaking hand? Who by taking thought can add right activity to a day swollen with options? If taking thought cannot add a single inch to height, why imagine it can add the substance of life? Take no thought for your life, not because life is neglected, but because life is God, and God is not your thought. God is. Consider the machinery of manifestation, affirmation upon affirmation, imaging and re-imaging, rehearsing outcomes until the tongue is tired. Do you know what that often is? Fear in spiritual clothing. Fear refusing to surrender the reins. Fear bargaining with heaven by formulas. Fear imagining that if it just thinks hard enough, the universe must obey. That is what the master called vain repetitions. Don't go on with vain repetitions. Stop. Stop. Let your tongue fall out before you turn prayer into a lever for outcomes. Prayer is not persuasion. Prayer is not mental electricity charging matter. Prayer is receptivity to that which eternally is. Be very firm here. There are not two powers, the power of bad thought and the power of good thought, warring to rule your day. There is one power, God. Thought is a tool for human communication. It is not the life of your being. As long as you put faith in a good thought, you deny the allness of God and place yourself outside your own house, and then you complain of weather. Come back inside. In Him we live and move and have our being. Not in thought, in Him. But if I do not think rightly, won't things go wrong? Who is this I that proposes to steer the stars? I can of my own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. If even the Christ voice said that, what business have we imagining that our mentation can engineer holiness? Let your inadequacy be your doorway. Be very firm about it. Confess, my thoughts are not power. God is. Then you will find that true prayer begins the still, surrendered awareness in which you are on the receiving end of God. You cannot seek this grace, or taste it, or touch it, or smell it, or think it, but you can be still and know. You can sit in holy quietude until the inner tumult of how and when subsides, and a presence announces itself without words. In that presence there is no strain to manufacture good, no clutching at mental strings. There is only recognition. God is. From that recognition, peace appears where pressure labored, guidance unfolds where scheming plotted, and right activity rises of itself as the outflow of one cause. So let the habit of manifesting fall from your hands. Lay down the whip of thought, take your seat in silence, be still, and know that I am God. When you are no longer trying to make life obey your images, life reveals itself as your sufficiency. This is not passivity, it is fidelity to one. Prayer ceases to be a performance and becomes reception. Grace, not might. Spirit, not strain. God is, and in that is, supply follows like light after dawn, without effort, without bargain, without fear. Let us be plain now, for without this confession, the rest is embroidery. I can of my own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. If the Master could say that without apology, what becomes of our posture as personal providers? Who is this I that drags the universe behind it like a shopping cart and calls the noise responsibility? Stop. Stop. Be very firm in your understanding of your own inadequacy, not to shame you, but to free you from a burden you cannot carry and were never asked to. Except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. We are not surrendering intelligence, nor honest work, nor the daily tasks that meet us. We are surrendering the belief that personal capacity is the power behind life. That belief is a counterfeit God named me. Listen carefully. Admitting inadequacy is not defeat. It is the doorway to grace because it ends the usurper. As long as you stand at the center of your world declaring, I am the provider, you must live by your wits, your strain, your forecasts, and then pray that heaven will sparingly assist. But the moment you consent to the truth, it is God who worketh in you both to will and to do of his good pleasure. You step out of a false office and back into your true place as instrument. In that instant, the tides begin to reverse. Fear loosens. The inner fist unclenches. Why? Because you are no longer protecting a throne that is not yours. Do not confuse this with passivity. You will still answer the telephone. You will still keep faith with your appointments. You will still count the drawer at closing, but the labor will be the outflow of one, not the scramble of an isolated self. Right activity rises because the cause is recognized, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. When the spirit is acknowledged as the doer, supply appears as its natural shadow. Substance first, shadow after. Cause first, effect after. I had a visit from a young mother, let us call her Ruth, who had turned her kitchen into a counting house, envelopes on the table, figures on the wall, sleep on strike. Her prayer life had become a ledger of emergencies. If I can just make this number behave, she said, I will have peace. I asked her to reverse it. If peace comes first, the numbers will take their rightful place. We sat, not long, but honestly, no advice, no arithmetic, only the two-word treatment, God is. Then the confession, whispered and real, I can of mine own self do nothing. Father, do thou the works. Friends, something happened that the pencil could not do. Peace arrived first. Then phone calls that had been delayed arrived. Not miraculous, simply right. A neighbor brought over groceries unasked. A small debt was forgiven by a friend who remembered a kindness from years ago. But mark this, the fruit is not the proof, the peace is. The grace appeared, and the form followed. Cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. That is not poetry, it is procedure. How do you cast it? Close the mouth that would tell God how. Hold those teeth together until the old habit of instructing the infinite subsides. Sit in stillness and acknowledge God is one. God is. Let the inner clamor be met by that presence which you cannot see or taste or touch or smell or think, but which you can know. Then, without strain, you will feel the lessening of the I must, and in its place the gentle movement of I am led. That is the end of the personal provider. Let us take this as our stance before we move on. The surrender is not of brain or backbone, but of the blasphemy that says, my sufficiency is of me, our sufficiency is of God. When the false self leaves the altar, prayer becomes stillness. We stop telling God and begin receiving God. In that receiving, grace does what effort cannot, and supply follows like a stream that has found its bed quiet, inevitable, unafraid. Now we come to the heart of it. If the false provider has left the altar, what stands in its place? Prayer not as request, not as persuasion, not as a recital of needs, but as receiving. When ye pray, use not vain repetitions as the heathen do, for your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before ye ask him. Do you see? before you ask. True prayer begins where asking ends. It is a wordless, thoughtless inner realization of the very isness of God. Not God will be, not God please be, God is. Let us be very practical. The next time the mouth is eager to instruct the infinite, arrest it. Don't go on with vain repetitions. Stop. Stop. Let your tongue fall out before you talk at God. Hold those teeth together until the habit of telling fades. Then be still. Enter into thy closet and shut the door of lips and the door of mental chatter, and abide there, not counting minutes, but consenting to presence. In that holy quiet, you are not thinking about God, you are receiving God. You are not performing prayer, you are yielding to the prayer that is already in motion, the Spirit that maketh intercession with groanings which cannot be uttered. But how shall I know I am praying? Not by sensation, not by thought, not by a flash of light. You can't see it, hear it, taste it, touch it, smell it, or think it, and still it is the only power. You will know because the pressure to manage your universe begins to unclench. The inner weather changes first. A hush comes like a soft rain on the fields of the mind. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. That quiet is not the effect of a settled circumstance. It is the sign of realized cause. Peace becomes present tense, not as a mood, but as a fact. Then, as inevitably as morning follows night, the outer scene rearranges itself around that peace, not by your engineering, but by grace. Let me give you a picture. A man, called him Daniel, came warned by invoices and deadlines. His prayers were negotiations. He kept heaven on hold while he advocated his case. We stopped. No arguments, no affirmations, only that two-word treatment that is not a lever but a letting go. God is. We sat until the taste for talking at God died down and we could say within, Thy will be done, not as resignation but as recognition. When Daniel left, nothing in his ledger had changed, yet he went out under a sky that felt near. That afternoon, the email he had chased for 10 days arrived of its own accord with a simple, apologies for the delay. A supplier offered more time without being asked. But mark it well, those were not answers to requests. They were the natural shadows cast by a realized sun. Thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. Do not mistake this for magical thinking. Thought is not power, neither are words. The power is God. Prayer positions you under that power as a receptive instrument. I can of my own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. When you sit in silence and consent to one, you are taken off the throne and placed on the receiving end of God. Then grace does what effort cannot. Harmony appears without your blueprint. Right activity rises without your whip. Not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. Practice this as you would breathing. Morning, before the world asks you to be many things, shut the door and acknowledge one God is. Noon, when the day is loud, hold those teeth together, even for 60 seconds, and remember God is one. Night, lay the head down not on worries, but on presence God is. Do this not to get, but to know. Seek first the kingdom, not the coin. The coin will take care of itself. Peace first, then the phone calls, the reconciled numbers, the right doors. The fruit is not the proof, the peace is. And where peace abides, provision quietly lines itself in order, as streams find the riverbed when the mountain snow yields to sun. Be still and know that I am God. That is prayer. That is receiving. And in that receiving, grace appears. Now let us make the reversal plain, because unless it is plain, the old habit will dress itself in new language and remain. We are not here to demonstrate supply. We are here to demonstrate God presence, governance, completeness. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Added not manufactured. When you aim at dollars, you aim at shadows. When you consent to God, you stand in the light, and shadows appear of themselves according to the light. Demonstrate God. What is demonstration? Not performance, not proof by spectacle, not the letter. The letter killeth, but the Spirit giveth life. The letter stacks phrases and techniques like stones. The Spirit breathes. The letter argues with appearances. The Spirit recognizes one and rests. Demonstration is not you making something happen. It is the recognition that God is happening as your very being here, now. It is consciousness, not conduct. Conduct will follow. Forms will align. But demonstration begins and ends in God as the only cause, the only law, the only life. Let me be exact. A bill, a deadline, a fear comes knocking. The old religion of effects rushes to the door to negotiate, to calculate, to rehearse options. Stop, stop. Do not argue with it. Effects have no voice of their own. They are not powers. Stand still inside. Be still and know that I am God. Say within, not pleading, not persuading, simply recognizing God is here. And if God is here, completeness is here, because God does not arrive in fractions. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. You cannot see this completeness or hear it or taste it or touch it or smell it or think it, but you can know it, and in that knowing the inner weather changes. A hush that is not of circumstances settles. That hush is demonstration. The outer rearrangement will be its echo. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Do you hear the method? Not after the enemies are gone, but while they bluff in posture. The table is presence realized, sufficiency known as here. In that realization, guidance rises without strain. You will find yourself writing a single simple email without the old tremor, making one phone call at the right hour, releasing an expense that belonged to fear, discovering a provision that was already within reach but hidden behind anxiety's fog. Do not fixate on the sequence of events. The events are not the demonstration. God realized is the demonstration. The rest is added. As long as you try to prove truth by outcomes, you remain a captive of outcomes. As long as you test God by the register, you will pinch the flow and then blame the fountain. Reverse it. Demonstrate God by resting in the recognition of one, by consenting to be the place where God is. In him we live and move and have our being, not in forecasts, in him. From that atmosphere, supply becomes what it always was, a natural byproduct of realized oneness, like fruit on a tree that cannot help itself in season. And this is not a momentary trick of attention. It must mature into your climate. Let the inner shift become your way of breathing. Morning, before the world shouts its facts, quietly acknowledge one God is. Noon, when the mind would resume its bargaining, close the door of the lips and remember God is one. Night, before the inventory of the day begins to count gains and losses, lay your head in presence God is. Keep at this until the mind loses its taste for grasping and gains a taste for peace. Then you will find that demonstration is not an event but an atmosphere, not a result but a recognition. God is, the Lord is, that's all. From that, all the patterns of your day gently change, not by might, not by power, but by his Spirit. Let us now put feet under this recognition so it can walk through your day. Do not turn it into a technique. Let it be a holy habit. Several times a day, no clock to bind you, only fidelity bring to conscious awareness the simple, final fact. God is one. Not God and not God if. God is. Let this be the two-word treatment that becomes the air your thought breathes. Morning, before the mind picks up yesterday's conversations, be still and say within God is. Mid-morning, when the engine of getting begins to rev, close the lips, hold those teeth together, and abide God as one. Noon, when appetite and pressure would make claims, remember God is. Evening, when the tally would tempt you to judge gain or loss, lay the head down on that. Presence God is. Pray without ceasing, not by speaking much, but by frequently returning to the fact that ends all debate. What are you doing in these pauses? You are not visualizing outcomes. You are not constructing affirmations like scaffolding to hold up a sagging sky. You are not bargaining with heaven or trying to charge matter with mental electricity. Stop. Stop. You are abiding. You are consenting to what is eternally true before all forms. God is one. You are taking your hands off the wheel and letting the Father within do the works. Be still and know that I am God. Not be busy and wish. Be still. Let your tongue fall out before you tell God what he already knows. Let your thoughts grow tired of their own spinning. Sit without performance until the taste for managing subsides. How will you know you are rightly practicing? Not by visions, not by a sudden wind. You can't see it, hear it, taste it, touch it, smell it, or think it, yet signs will appear within. A softening. First, the fist you didn't know you were making unfurls. A quieting next. The drumbeat that demanded you check, check, check begins to lose authority. The compulsion to chase or force, to open the ledger app yet again, to refresh the email as if refreshment lived there, fades. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. Stayed, not strained. You may still act, write a note, make a call, answer a need, but the push is gone. Right activity emerges as a nudge, not a lash. The center of gravity returns from the outer to the inner, from effect to cause. Do not measure this practice by how quickly coins move or doors open. The moment you test God by the register, you will pinch the flow and blame the fountain. Keep your fidelity with one. Let peace be your first fruit. Acquaint now thyself with him, and be at peace. If peace is present, the practice is true. The rest will be added in season. As branches do not sweat to bear fruit when they abide in the vine, so you will find supply appearing as a natural outflow of realized oneness. It cannot be otherwise, for cause cannot deny its own effect. Now here, where this discipline is proved, precisely when lack shouts, when a bill arrives with red letters that seem to howl, when debt numbers attempt to prophesy doom, when a deadline pounds like a fist against the door, this is your altar. Do not go out to wrestle a shadow. Do not crown the appearance with power by frantic strategy. Stop, stop, enter your closet, shut the door of lips and the door of fear's monologue, and meet the shout with stillness. God is one. Let the wind spend itself while you rest in the one cause that has no rival. Take no thought for your life. Your Father knoweth. As the inner weather clears, you will see what to do, if there is to be doing at all. And it will be simple, honest, unafraid. Make this a way of being, not a stunt. Set reminders if you must, until the heart remembers without a bell. Treat these pauses as you would breath essential, unseen, constant. Withdraw your faith from outcomes and return it to its rightful object. God is. The Lord is. That's all. As that remembrance steadies and deepens, you will discover the compulsive search for supply dissolving of itself, and in its place, a quiet sufficiency that does not need to prove itself by counting. In him we live and move and have our being. Live there in him, and let the day take its instructions from that peace. And now we stand where the noise seems greatest, bills, deadlines. I know the feel of paper that trembles in the hand, the red letters that seem to shout, the calendar square that looks like a judge's bench. Be compassionate with the human scene. Do not despise it, but deny it authority. Figures on paper are not powers. A due date is not a god. They are appearances, and appearances have no self-existent law. If God is one, there cannot be another cause beside him. If God is the only cause, lack has no law to sustain it, no mind to direct it, no substance to feed it, no continuity to project it into tomorrow. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. Fullness is cause. Lack is only the echo of fear's argument. Do not argue with echoes. When the shout comes, your procedure is simple, and it is holy. Stop, stop. Enter your closet and shut the door of lips and the door of fear's monologue. Sit, if only for a minute, as one who relinquishes the throne. Let your tongue fall out before you instruct the infinite. Be still. Offer no blueprint. Let the two-word treatment settle the dust. God is. Then, if words arise, let them be surrender, not strategy. Father, I turn this over. Reveal thy government here. Not my government, not the government of creditors or calendars. Thy government. Now rest. Do not rehearse disaster. Do not run the arithmetic of doom. You cannot see this grace or hear it or taste it or touch it or smell it or think it. Yet in that wordless knowing, a hush comes that did not borrow its quiet from circumstances. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. From that hush, you will be led gently, precisely, without panic. Right activity appears because cause has been recognized. You may pick up the phone, not to beg, not to manipulate, but to speak plainly and honestly at the right time. You may cancel the unnecessary, release what fear collected, take one clear step that has the ring of truth. You may discover a provision already present within reach, but hidden by anxiety's fog. The activity will be simple, unmixed with strain. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. And then, if there is to be movement, let it be the Lord moving as you. A man wrote me, call him Miguel, facing eviction within days. He had spent 2 nights auditioning calamities. We stopped. We sat. God is. Father, I turn this over. Reveal thy government here. The quiet came first. The breathing normalized. From that quiet, he called the landlord with no pretense, only truth. The reply was unlike the scenarios his fear had scripted. Come by this afternoon, let us work out a plan. That same week, a foreman who had long forgotten his name offered overtime unasked. But mark this well, these are not proofs to clutch. They are shadows cast by realized sun. The peace is the sign. Thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. Do not crown deadlines with power by worshiping their sound. Do not make figures kings by bowing to their posture. Meet the appearance with God's allness. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. As that recognition holds, the compulsion to hurry drains away. The mind that demanded 5 plans accepts 1 clear step, or none if none is given. You remain honest, you remain diligent, but you are no longer a personal provider straining at the oars. I can of mine own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. And because the Father does the works, right activity unfolds without fear, timely, clean, sufficient like a stream finding its bed when snow yields to spring. Keep this order. Cause first. Recognition first. Peace first. Then the act, if there is to be one. And should the noise return, Your method does not change. Stop, stop, return to the closet, return to the two-word truth, return to surrender. Father, I turn this over. Reveal thy government here. In that fidelity to one, you will discover that bills, debt, and deadlines are not masters, but occasions to witness grace. God is one. God is. That's all. From that all, the outer falls into line without your fear. Let us be exact here, because this is where many stumble. Surrender is not passivity. It is the end of strain, not the end of movement. The ox that strained under a crooked yoke labored and sweated and called it virtue. Then the master said, "My yoke is easy and my burden is light." Do you see the difference? Not that there is no yoke, but that the weight is not your invention. When activity rises from fear's push, it comes with hurry, with argument, with second guessing in its wake. When activity rises from God recognized, it carries quiet inevitability and right timing. The steps of a good man are ordered of the Lord. Ordered, not scrambled. Steps, not scrambles. Human will always pushes. It consults the clock and calls it law. It rehearses outcomes and calls it prudence. It multiplies tasks and calls it diligence. Divine impulsion does not push. It unfolds. It is a nudge without a lash, a clarity without a chorus. It arrives without fanfare, yet when you move with it, you sense fitness, this now, not that, this word, not many, this door, not every door. There is an absence of worry inside the doing. The mind does not keep looking over its shoulder for applause or for disaster. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Strength first, then action. Inner weather first, then footsteps. Your part? Availability, integrity, listening. The Father within doeth the works. I can of mine own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. You make yourself available by ceasing to instruct God and consenting to presence. You keep integrity by refusing to use fear's tools, flattery, force, pretense to pry open doors. You listen by entering that inner closet where words fall away and a single line becomes audible. God is. You cannot see this guidance. Hear it with the ear, taste it, touch it, smell it, or think it into being. Yet you will know it, because the compulsion to rush loses its grip and a single clean step presents itself. Take that step and stop. Do not add your embroidery. Let the grace that began the movement complete the arc. Not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. A man, call him Andre, kept a small repair shop. He hustled. He opened early, closed late, and wore anxiety as if it were a uniform. He called it responsibility, but it was strain. When he learned to be still, 2-3 minutes before opening, something altered. He did not pray for customers. He practiced the two-word truth and whispered, "Father, do thou the works." That week he did less, no frantic advertising, no discounting panic, and yet work came in a stream that fit the day. One job he would have accepted out of fear, he declined with peace. The next day, a task arrived within his skill that paid twice as much and took half the time. He found himself calling a supplier at an odd hour, and the right part was on the shelf because another order had been canceled. Was this magic? No, it was order, right activity, in right sequence, without the sweat of self as power. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. Do not suppose this is private mysticism that ignores the world. Consciousness is contagious. Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I in the midst of them. When a household consents to one, the atmosphere lightens. Conversations stop fracturing into control and counter control. A team that begins its day with a minute of silence, not talking about projects, not plotting outcomes, simply acknowledging God is, will find decisions rising with unanimity that cannot be engineered. Emails read at the right hour, calls returned without chase. Waste falls away because strain is not manufacturing motion to feel alive. If there are 10 righteous in a city, 10 who refuse to give power to fear and effects, the city itself breathes easier. United consciousness is not arithmetic. It is atmosphere. It does not bully, it blesses. It does not push, it reveals. Right activity is the offspring of inner listening. Stop, stop. Do not mistake movement for life. Be still long enough to know the life that moves as you. Treat peace as your green light. If peace is absent, wait. If peace is present, proceed without drama. Let your speech be few and your steps be plain. Let your yea be yea and your nay, nay. Keep faith with honest duties. Return the call. Sweep the floor. Finish the page, but do them as one who is carried, not as one who is carrying God. God is one. God is. That's all. From that all, the day arranges itself not by hustle, but by his spirit, and you will look back on the evening not exhausted by self, but quietly spent by grace. Let us widen the lens now, for what we have been saying is not a private salvation, not a trick to get your personal affairs smooth while the world starves. Spirit is not a possession, it is presence. Where it is realized, it radiates. Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I in the midst of them. Do you hear the method? Gathered in my name in the recognition of one, not in the pooling of many anxieties. If there are 10 righteous in a city, 10 who refuse to give reality to fear and effects, the atmosphere shifts for all. Consciousness is not a fence around a yard. It is an air. Breathe that air as a household, as a shop, as a team, and the tone of life changes. Arguments soften before they are spoken. Temptations to corner and to clutch lose their persuasion. What you call provision begins to appear without squeeze or chase because the idol of personals has been taken down from its altar. God is one. Therefore, consciousness is one. There are not many little minds trying to pull the blanket to their side of the bed. We, being many, are one body. If there is one life, there are not competing lives. In the recognition of oneness, giving and receiving are not 2 events, they are one rhythm. Freely ye have received, freely give. Do you see? Not give to get. Give because you are the outflow of the one who is fullness. Give because the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, and you are not an owner but an instrument. Stop. Stop. Do not make your storehouses into gods. Hoarding is the liturgy of fear. It says, I live by effects, not by cause. But as you abide in one, love replaces hoarding. Honesty replaces the clever bargain. Service replaces the hustle. And in that atmosphere, supply is not manufactured. It circulates the way blood flows through a whole body when the heart is sound. A household begins the day with a minute of silence, not prayers about utilities and markets, but the 2-word truth, God is. They speak fewer words that day and do truer deeds. A neighbor's need becomes an opportunity for quiet generosity, and strangely, the pantry never seems thin. A shop pays its invoices on time, not out of fear of penalties, but as fidelity to one. A supplier, without being asked, extends favorable terms in a lean month. A foreman stops boasting about cutting corners, and the crew's accidents decline. Give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Not because of barter with heaven, but because love has regained the channel and fear has lost the valve. In united consciousness, You stop making provision personal. You stop saying, my account, my clients, my miracle, as if grace were private property. You begin to say, thy kingdom, and you live as trustee. You cannot see this change, or hear it, or taste it, or touch it, or smell it, and yet it is the only change that matters. It is a hush and a fairness and a shared courage. By this shall all men know that ye are my disciples, if ye have love one to another. Love here is not sentiment, it is right measure, the just weight, the honest hour, the kind word that does not flatter, the firm no, that refuses a dishonest gain. In such an atmosphere, what you call luck is revealed as law, the law of one. Provision appears often in ways that surprise the calculating mind, because cause has been honored and effects have taken their proper place as shadows cast by light. Carry this into your city. Bless the competitor. Refuse to imagine a world divided into takers and keepers. Pray not to escape the place where you live, but to reveal its true government. Seek the peace of the city, for in the peace thereof shall ye have peace. Let offices begin the week with a quiet minute. Let families practice the two-word truth before budgets are argued. Pay what you owe, speak what is true, give what love impels, and cease measuring your worth by the scoreboard of effects. The kingdom of God is within you. Live from there. When the inner court holds, one, the outer court becomes simple. My cup runneth over. Not by your cleverness, not by your force. I can of mine own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. This is why provision so often appears when you stop making it personal. You have returned to the only cause, and what follows is natural. It is not a trick. It is order. God is one. God is. That's all. From that all, homes, shops, streets, and cities are quietly fed, because the life that is your life flows unblocked as love, honesty, service. Acquaint now thyself with him, and be at peace. And in that peace, the many will be blessed by the one you have recognized. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty for you, for your neighbor, for the place you stand. There are two stages in this work. Do not confuse them, and do not despise either. There is the letter of truth, and there is the spirit or consciousness of truth. The letter speaks. It states, God is one. God is presence. God is supply. It quotes, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. It remembers, be still and know that I am God. The letter is good, necessary, preparatory. It is the handrail on the stairs, but the handrail is not the floor above. The letter killeth, but the Spirit giveth life. Do you hear? As long as you believe there is power in a statement as statement, you are far from the kingdom. The statement points, the statement is a sign on the highway. The Spirit is the city itself. Here is the track, and many of you know its weariness. You repeat lines about abundance while the belly tightens and the hands sweat on the calculator. You say, I am prosperous, but you mean I am afraid. You call it faith. It is bargaining. You put verses like fig leaves over anxiety and then wonder why the wind keeps stripping them off. Stop. Stop. This is vain repetition in spiritual clothing. When ye pray, use not vain repetitions as the heathen do, for they think that they shall be heard for their much speaking. Much speaking is not hearing. Much speaking is not being. The Father needeth no information. He is the information, the life, the law. Let the words do their holy work, lead you out of words. Take the two-word treatment God is, and hold it as you would hold the hand of a child across a busy street, not to deliver you to more streets, but to deliver you home. Sit, be still. Let the letter escort you to the edge of speech, and then let your tongue fall out before you instruct the infinite. Hold those teeth together. Let thought spend itself like surf on a shore. You are not trying to believe. You are consenting to be. I can of mine own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. Consent to that wordlessly. You cannot see this consent or hear it or taste it or touch it or smell it or think it. Yet you will know it, for peace will appear, not borrowed from a bank or from a forecast, but native to your being. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. A woman called her Leah came with a wallet full of affirmations, worn at the edges by use. She could recite verses the way a clerk counts change, but lack still haunted the hallways of her thought. We did not add a new phrase. We did not polish the old ones. We sat. We allowed God is to be the last word and then no word. The first week, nothing moved on paper. But inside, the wind dropped. The compulsion to monitor balances every hour lost its authority. She found herself returning a small overcharge she could have concealed. Honesty replaced cleverness. 2 days later, unasked, a client paid a forgotten invoice. But understand, the payment was not the proof. The peace was. The open reward followed the secret knowing. Thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. Do not mistake this. The letter is honorable when it yields. It is treacherous when it usurps. Use it, then lose it in silence. The letter says, God is one, and Spirit realizes, without saying, one. The letter says, take no thought, and Spirit ceases to take thought. The letter says, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and Spirit abides already within the kingdom. That abiding becomes your base. From that base, you stop measuring God by effects, no more checking the register to find out if God held. You begin to measure effects by God. Does this action, this word, this outflow bear the imprint of peace? Does it arise from stillness? Is it clean, unhurried, honest? If yes, proceed. If no, wait. This is the integration. Words may point to truth, but only realized consciousness reveals harmony. The letter brings you to the altar. The Spirit is the fire. Be very firm in your understanding of your own inadequacy to light that fire. Then you can say, but the Father within me is the flame. Speak less. Consent more. Use the mantra to enter the sanctuary, then stand silent until the hush announces presence. When realization becomes climate, not moment, you will find that effects no longer rule the weather of your heart. God is one. God is. That's all. From that all, forms adjust as they must, when they must, and you walk in the simplicity of a life measured by God. In Him we live and move and have our being, not in sayings about Him, but in Him. Here is the whole reversal in a single line. Forget supply, demonstrate God, and watch supply follow as the shadow follows the body. Do not try to seize the shadow. Stand in the light. Cause first, then effect. God is one. God is. That's all. From that all, appearances arrange themselves in their rightful places without your fear. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Added, not chased. Outflow, not prize. Start tonight, not tomorrow after you tidy the books. Tonight, before sleep. Stop the mental rehearsal. Stop. No bargaining with the hours ahead. No reciting speeches to creditors or inventing triumphs for meetings. Lay the ledger down. Power off the devices that peddle urgency. Shut the door of your lips and the door of thought's performance. Sit on the edge of the bed or lie down as a lamb in a pasture and take up the two-word treatment. God is, not God and, not God if, God is. Hold those teeth together. Let your tongue fall out before you instruct the infinite. Be still and know that I am God. You are not trying to feel a feeling. You are consenting to what is true, whether felt or unfelt. Remain with God as quietly, simply until peace appears, not argued, not manufactured. You cannot see it, hear it, taste it, touch it, smell it, or think it into being, yet it comes as a hush that did not borrow its quiet from a forecast. That peace is the first evidence of God realized. Make no demands for more evidence. Do not reach for omens or numbers. Thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. Your open reward will take care of itself. Your work is the secret knowing. Let sleep find you in that peace. He giveth his beloved sleep. If doubt rises, bless its honesty. Do not hide it under a pile of phrases. Bring it into the light, as you would bring a splinter to the surface for the healer's hands. Say, if you must, Father, I do not feel thee. I do not know how to do this. Be very firm in your understanding of your own inadequacy. Then you can say, I can of mine own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. Return without drama to the fact of being. God is. If fear argues, do not argue back. Let it spend itself while you rest in what does not spend I am. My thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord. Consent to be carried by that which thinks you, breathes you, is your life. Make this a nightly sacrament. 2 minutes, 5, 10 times is not the law. Fidelity is the law. Acquaint now thyself with him, and be at peace. Thereby good shall come unto thee. Not because you have coaxed good, but because peace reveals order. Go to sleep without a plan to push. Rise in the morning without a vow to hustle. Let peace be your green light. If peace is present, take the step that presents itself plain, honest, unhurried. If peace is absent, wait. The Lord is not late. The Lord is. Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Remember who you are as you close your eyes. Not a personal provider straining to make a universe obey, an instrument through which the one plays his own melody. As long as God is, I am. Do you hear the safety in that? As long as God is, I am. The kingdom of God is within you, not across town, not tomorrow, not in a ledger, within you. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Liberty from the lash of outcomes. Liberty from the war of better plans. Liberty to sleep, to wake, to live as one carried by grace. So begin. Tonight, take your hands off the scale. Withdraw your faith from effects and return it to cause. God is one. God is. Let the heart say it once, then say nothing, and rest. If fear returns at midnight, do not turn on the lamp of strategy. Turn into the light that never sleeps. Be still. Consent. Peace will arise. It cannot do otherwise where God is acknowledged. And from that peace, supply takes its rightful place as shadow, not substance, as added, not pursued, as the natural outflow of a life lived in the one. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Walk in that line until it is no longer a line you say, but a life you are. Where 2 or 3 of us do this faithfully, our homes will breathe easier, our work will simplify, our city will feel the lift of united consciousness. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Start tonight. Acquaint thyself with him and be at peace.